The popcorn, the popcorn, the pop star man, a legendary hitmaker, from producing to designing to writing to singing, from entrepreneur to businessman. Pharrell Williams, the king of pop culture and numbers. Pharrell delivers a true pop culture moment at Louis Vuitton, decoding a pop culture legend, Pharrell Williams. Pharrell Williams' impact on the world of music, fashion, and culture. In research of Pharrell Williams, the future of luxury is freedom. These are just headlines that appear in just a few of the hundreds of magazines, books, newspaper, websites, social media, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, guys and girls, everyone in anywhere. Welcome to Talk on Talk. If you were one of that listened the first episode of Talk on Talk, I want to say thank you and thank you so much for coming back to this episode. I want to start this episode with a little scary story that happened to me this weekend, this Saturday afternoon. I were in my bed sleeping, making a little sleep in the afternoon after reading, and I fall asleep. Then my phone rang. I wake in the other side of the phone. There was a man with a voice between deep and high. It was a call to extort me. At first, he told me all my information. He knew all my full name, my address, my identification number, and of course my number phone. After asking who he was, he told me anything about who was him. He just said me that I have a day to leave the city with my family and that I were in danger. And that was so scary. I feel in my chest tachycardia and a lot of fear. I am diagnosed with anxiety and TOC, and that call was like a switch on my brain. And I left my room, went to my sister's room, and told her with my eyes, record. Then I was so nervous that I was about to crying. And my sister tells me, initially, don't cry, calm down, don't cry. And she say me, and I tell her, let me cry, I am nervous, I feel nervous. And she tell me, you can cry, calm down. And she take the control of the situation. At the moment, I was so grateful to have an older sister and a strong woman by my side, because she managed the call so well. And he was like, you know who you are. Now I can remember this with a laugh in my face, because that was like a Netflix series and that was so dramatic. Well, by the way, the point is that at the end we check it and the call have been, this call was made from prison, and it happens a lot on this country. The extortions call, and the point I want to get, and the reason I'm sharing this little scary story that happened to us this weekend is because, one, I'm talking about what happened in a safe space. This is a safe space for me. I feel safe speaking in another language that is not my language, and I know that I don't do it so well, but I feel safe to share it with the world. 2, I bring out of my consciousness many thoughts of negative scenarios that arose at that moment. 3, I feel so blessed and thanks to God for the brave of my sister, because most of us have a hero. Could be Superman, Spider-Man, the Wonder Woman. Could be a writer, could be a singer, could be a designer, could be an actor, could be a host of some podcast, could be your mom, your dad, your sister, or even could be that person that you see in the mirror. And I feel so blessed, and I say, God, I need to say thanks for this bless and for give me a beautiful and huge hug with his protection. And if you have a hero or a heroine in your house, in your family, you need this is the moment that you close your eyes and say thanks, God, for this incredible person by my side. And I need to highlight in importance of representation. When I was sitting beside my sister, I thought, she saves me. She saves me first from that call. She saves me from that prisoner in some jail of the country trying to steal my money or something. She saved me from my brain, because she knows it. She saved me from my anxiety and my tachycardia. And she saves me from the fear, And she, in that moment, represents for me like an image of remember in the future for in case of some scenario like that. And the power of representation, it's if God forbid I'm going to have a memory in my memory, I will have a face, a name, a voice to remember it like that. And that is the power of the representation, and that archive, that memory saved in your brain. And I will be feeling and fully knowing that someone very close to me who shows me that it is what is like, that it is like, it's like that, it is what it is. You know, sometimes you feel lost and you can raise your voice. And yesterday, Saturday afternoon, I was just starting to do the research for this episode about PW Popcorn Pop Superstar. For a second, I felt almost dead. Almost an hour later, my mom and my sister were there telling me stories about how many in the family have been called for similar people for make similar things. And if you are listening to this episode, you will remember that I mentioned it Baruch Spinoza, this Dutch philosopher, who said that there is nothing that we call bad, because regardless of the normal burden, whenever sometimes is done, it will be for the good of that person, of the person who did it. Therefore, it is his good of him. That man that was making that calling was his good. And my sister's reaction was our good. So in that point, we can do our good and we can make really hard things. You know, if some people do things like that, and it's better to just forget that and think in the good, in our good, you know. And if we think in our good and we have the power and we have the ability to make really hard things, like, I don't know, in my case, travel to USA, live there, study there officially, be part of great movies, write awesome books, win the literature Nobel Prize, record an album, record videos for PW, for the best rappers ever, and for everyone. I mean, not anyone, just the best of the best. And that is another thing. When you have the power of make really hard things, you need to choose, and you have the opportunity to choose. That is the point. You have the freedom to choose your good. And my good is be part of great movies, write awesome books that help people, that make people change in some way, also have a beautiful and awesome podcast, I don't know, record an album, by the way, and things that we seem like true fit to us, and all that achieve goals, it's for our good. For others, it could be sing, start a brand, learn to swim, learn another kind of books, get your college degree, or even little things. But the most important ones, get a help from your mom. Maybe your mom passed away and now you are feeling that you need that hug, and that you could be a grave, or could be talk about that you someday talk, and now you don't feel in the same way and don't think in the same way, but you feel afraid, and you need to change your point of view of of that talk. You need to talk about that talk, and that could be a huge hit, a hit that is for your good. And I think and saw and read, and Pharrell Williams is the kind of person that make his good and make his good, and then he give to the world his good. I want to open quotes for the next one. Says, most anything I do because it involves someone or something can learn from. Sometimes you just gotta put your pride aside and be quiet so that you can absorb not only what a person is saying, but how they are saying, in their energy, in their body language. It's all for a reason. Pharrell says that 9 years ago, in an interview with Fast Company, that was a little piece of the article of Fast Company in the website of Black Enterprise. And now he is the culture for everyday life in that way. And we need to understand how big is this and how huge and beautiful and loving is this, because when the generation see that when we have that kind of person in the top of pop culture, that is the culture of everyday life, these men talk their truth, ladies and gentlemen. These men taught his motherfucking truth. Since common sense and coherence, because he's so articulate. Oh my God. And I want to bring to this conversation in an article of ID. That article was wrote and recorded in the quarantine. Kanye and Pharrell are having a conversation, and they were talking about creativity, inspiration, and community. They were talking about life also. And Pharrell says to Kanye, everything is up in the air conceptually, literally and metaphorical. Faith is not about who you see. Faith is not about what you hear. Faith is about what you feel. And I think that it's so relative to Spinoza's thoughts, and that Pharrell Williams, it's a man that build and design culture and design a clean culture. When you see his designs in brands like Human Race, you can see how clean he is and how much attention to the detail he has. And that creates a beautiful, a healthy, a deeply, a sensitive, a clean pop culture is such a bliss. I need to say that pop culture has a man like Pharrell Williams, and he knows he has a great but huge responsibility with the young generation, with Generation Z, with Black, Brown, Hispanic generation. And for that we can speak about Black ambition and that a strong and powerful project, and we are gonna talk about that later a little bit deeply. And he knows what he need to do because he knows that millions of people and the Generation Z, it's growing and learning, and we are living our life watching him and listening others that are collaborating with him. So also he is the father of 4 children, and in a conversation from Ripple on Dream Champs, the podcast, he said in a really careful, beautiful, and consciousness way that his wife was a human being living with 4 hearts, and that was the best for me personal as a woman. One of the best moments of the interview, and when in Drink Champ say that he just bring the best of the best, girl, he brings the best of the best. And that was a great conversation, and you can go to the YouTube channel of Ripple and listen and see the episode of the podcast. And that was the first time that I hear about Revolt and Drink Champs and their host. I clicked at a new tab window on the right to open Revolt channel, and I found that they are focused on interviewing and creating content for Black community. One of his hosts is a Black man, and the other man, I don't know if he's one of their official hosts, but the other one is a Latino man. And I reflect because when I was doing the research to create Talk on Talk, I read a lot about the term niche. And at first, this podcast was going to be exactly as you see and hear it, but we're going to talk about big names in general. And after thinking about it, analyzing, and above it all, internalizing it, I told myself, well, this is for something, for create something that contribute. And since that, I was like, well, I'm not afraid to say that this is for Black, Brown, and Hispanic people, because at the beginning, maybe I don't was recognizing me as a brown woman, officially like a brown woman. And this is not just for the audience. It's more, this is for monetizing, and I started read about how monetize a channel, how monetizing a podcast, and all that kind of stuff that is so important. But that is a part that is also for creating community, because quality it's more important than quantify. In Colombia, we say that a lot, and sometimes we hear something so much that becomes everyday to us, and we don't really apply in it in our lives. So I told myself, well, girl, it is what it is. And finally, I narrow it down, and I decide that I would be creating, and there is a podcast called Make Art No Content that inspired me a lot also, and I decided to focus this podcast on creating a community, creating a family and family ties, and doing it for my loved ones, the brown ones, the black ones, and the Latinos. And I think that all we, and I and you that are listening, that we can learn a lot about Pharrell Williams and the ways he works and the way he made things. We can see projects like Team Yellow. Team Yellow is an initiative about education and community, and create community around education, around children. And this is a beautiful way to give back your good ones. And I think that this project of Team Yellow, it's so yellow, and I think that reivindicates human rights and human voice, so we can learn from him the need of a community and the need for creators make a community and make ties, family ties. And he teach us and show us in a really humble and cutie way that the other, and the way we share with the other, and we hug the other, and we call the other, and how we see the other is that good. You're little good. You're good in life. And when your eyes shine for other projects, and shine for your community, and shine for your people, and most of all, you feel that you are part of that people, and the amazing moment when you say, oh my God, I am from the brown community, and my dad is a black man, and you feel all that history behind you that are waiting for you, that all history that are singing to your ear. And when we listen about Pharrell, we listen the gospel and the gospel church from Virginia, and we can hear that boom boom, that bam bam, like if you were human being with 4 hearts. That is that popcorn. And if we talk about Virginia, we need to talk about Men's Spring Summer 2024 show by Pharrell at Louis Vuitton. That show debuted from the creative director Future Myriad, and I need to say that when we see the beginning of that opening show, when you see that black brown people singing in that representative space, that is like the top of the top for fashion, and there are black people representing, brown people representing, and representing freedom, and representing the freedom of a voice, of a lyric, of a sound, the freedom of speak, and the beautiful freedom of talk in different manners, in different ways. And I feel so identified with Pharrell, and this generation, has a particularity that we feel identified with a lot of things, and we are the most intelligent generation ever, thanks to internet, thanks social media, that it's both sides, and we have a lot of information, and we are the generation most intelligent, most quickly, and most informed. In that way, we can say that this generation feels represents with Pharrell, and Pharrell represents so well the Generation Z, because in that interview on Drink Champs, he said que a él no le gustaría, or that, he loves the way he makes things, because he's not like one of the chief CEOs of some big company that they are just, engineer. That is a really good thing also, and a super hack for that people. But he feels that he need to express him in different ways, and that is the kind of freedom that he feels and he shares. He's giving back in different ways. And in that video, in that show debut, that that teenager walking in that beside that river with LB clothes, and that thongs, black and white, going to someone that could be your father, your grandfather. And Pharrell Williams, I think that, and I saw him like your grandpa, your cool grandpa, or your cool dad, that knows how it is. And that cool grandpa and that cool dad that is recognizing your thoughts, your feeling, and your ways of being. that conversation with that cool grandfather, it's like saying us, you can imagine how badly you want it. I mean, if you really, how badly you want to learn to swim, you need to do it. You know how badly, and I mean, that is the point. No worse. Just do it. Just do it. And it's so deeply and badly, and you feel that can kill you, but feel you alive, and that you're living in a beautiful way. And if you feel that emotion, but you don't know how to explain, but with the little things that you make every day, with your schedules, with your readings, and with your goals in some part of your room, like me, and with your Bible and all, and with your books, and with your colors, and when you're sold. And also, I'm walking right now, that how deeply you want it, how deeply you really fucking want it. No words. And that is the message from that show, from the spring summer show. And at the end of the show, we are not gonna talk in this episode about the cloth or the models or the designs or of the walls of the models that was beautiful, or about Jay-Z, or we are going to talk about how beautiful clothes that show. And that was Virginia closing. He opened with Virginia and he closed with Virginia. And that is what that kind of popcorn that I hear that on Champ drinks, from that popcorn pop star, I need to say that was me. But in that show, that was incredible, beautiful, and he invented the art of travel through language, bags, and accessories, which were as creative as they were elegant and practical. That says, when you go to YouTube channel of Louis Vuitton, in the description part says about Louis Vuitton. So yeah, we feel that joy that is unspeakable. I remember that, I gonna tell another little, but this is a little beautiful story. When that show drove out, I was one of the first one to watch on YouTube. And oh my God, I remember that I was passing for a moment in the university, not so well. I mean, I was in a moment of learning. Like now, like everyone in all moments of life, learning every time, every day. And I listened that song, and I was watching the show in my room,
in my little room, and I was with my door open, and in that moment I was living with my little brother, just with him, and I repeat twice the show and like 5 times the song. And I gonna say again the need of representation, because I was listening that song not just during the show. I was listening that song then on Spotify, and then I was listening that my little brother was listening the song too, and he enjoyed the song, and he take his showers with the song, and he feels God joy inside him, and the way of he feels God is through music. And faith is not about you think about how you see, about what you see. Faith is about what you feel, and music makes feel closer to heaven, closer to God, closer to Father's God. And yeah, now let's talk about their influence in another artist and about a specific collab with an Hispanic artist. We are talking about Airplane Tickets, their latest release. This song is a collaboration with the Puerto Rican artist Raúl Alejandro and Siwali. Siwali is from Inglewood, Cali. And we are gonna create a contrast between 3 videos and 3 songs, but particularity between 3 videos that I think that have specific characteristics, and we are gonna talk about from a technique perspective, from a filmmaker's perspective, from movements of the camera, from color palettes, from effects, from color corrections. And Airplane Tickets is a collaboration with the Puerto Rican artist Raúl Alejandro and Siwali. Siwali is from Inglewood, Cali, and we are gonna create a contrast between Calm Down from Selena Gomez featuring Rema, Baloo from Fate, also known as El Fercho feat. Rema, and of course Airplane, Siwali, Raúl Alejandro, and P.W. Pharrell Williams. Well, let's start. Let's start with Calm Down. Well, this super hit looks so Caribbean vintage. And the video first looks Caribbean vintage, then futurist, and then so abstract. That is scenes where Selena is sitting in a table with her jeans and his white shoes, and in front a lot of, I don't know how to say this word on English, with a lot of telas, and that telas looks like a pen, and that scenes reminds me to the Colombian abstract artist Fanny. That is my perspective, what I thought when I saw the video, but it's more like African colors and African figures. We need to reminder that Rema is from Benin, Nigeria, and we can feel his vibe. Also, Rema, it's Generation Z. He was born in the 2000s, and all the colors, all the figures transmit that energy from Nigeria and from his culture. And the reading of the song is so involving and makes you feel the kind of vibe of open space and open concept. All sets of the video has an open concept. That was the song of lockdown. And that song makes feel people in an open concept, but into the rhythm, more Caribbean, more like holy, relaxed, but also more moving into the dance and moving into this vibe of feeling more vintage, relaxed. This video and the other ones connect in the movements of the camera and the breakup effects when they are gonna change of a scene, and also the movement, the breakdowns of the scene make I don't know how to say this word, a punto de partida. En el episodio anterior tampoco supe cómo decir punto de partida. Me perdonarán también mi Spanglish, but I'm trying it in the better way. So these breakdowns of these effects in the video of Countdown marcan un punto de partida para el cambio del plano y para el cambio de la secuencia. So we also can see the chemistry between Selena and Rema, and it's a really good work team. We also could see that in the MTV Awards, when he won his award and all that kind of stuff, he has a really good relationship, a really good chemistry, and he's putting in the place of a student. We know that Selena Gomez has a really good trajectory. He's a master, so I mean he's in the same point that I could say Pharrell is in the point of master, of professor in airplane tickets with Raúl Alejandro and Swae Lee. Well, now let's with Babalu from Faith, also known as El Fercho, Rema. And I need to say this is an incredible change of Faith in the way of conceptual art and in a highest level of direction and photography, direction, design, production, and the people that work in this video make a really interesting work because it's another level of production on his career. We can see the before and after. If we can say that an artist has a before and after that put a highlighter in his career, I need to say the future going say if I saying the wrong thing, but I'm saying this my thoughts, but I need to say that this is the video that is changing the career and the collab that is changing the career of Fade. And in this episode, we are gonna talk a lot about Fade and this reggaeton singer from Colombia. With this video, he's changing his career, and we can saw also that he changed and got out of his representative green line, but we can see that characteristic of him as an artist when the video it's starting and someone is putting color on the hair of that guy's in the dancer's hair, and also we can see that color in all the video, but in a more neutral way, in a more vintage way. The three videos has that characteristic. The three videos has this one. Okay. All the videos has in common granite. All videos and songs and has in common Black and Hispanic voices. Also has the three ones Caribbean voices. Even in Airplane Ticket, we can hear in the middle of the song, maybe at the ending, we can hear some rhythms about salsa, and we can, taste that flavor of, me as a Colombian brunette person, I need to say that I can taste that salsa flavor. And another thing is that the three videos has vintage and cinematographic style. The countdown, I can make a contrast with a movie in this moment, maybe later. But for now, I can remind from Boobaloo, I remind Lemon Please, or in English, Le Compton, from the filmmaker Jean-Luc Godard. This is a movie from the 1963, and this video has a lot of that movie style. The open concept, the blue sky, the whites, the granite, also like that force between the men and women, and that storytelling that narrate the video, and it's in a such beautiful way. We can see that Fade breaking the wall between his urban style with his cloth. In this case, we can show him more stylized. I don't know how to say this word, but more estilizado, wearing textures, tejidos, pero también keeping his vibe, keeping his grime. And I need to say that was a really good work and assertive work from the team, from the producer Juan Pérez de Rosas, from the director Rogelio, and from the beautiful election of Leila Rodriguez in production designer, and everyone there made such great work. You can see Le Mépris, or in English Le Compte, It's a really good movie and you're gonna understand me. And now let's make a close-up from Airplane Ticket. I need to say, in the same way are walking Raul Alejandro with this video and with this collab, in the same way that Faith, I think this collab and this video changed the game for him. Walking by the side of Pharrell, it's an incredible opportunity in world fashion, in music production. I mean, it's a big open door from him. We don't need to forget that Pharrell Williams was working hand to hand with the Spanish artist Rosalía and Raúl Alejandro there was in a relationship, and even there they launched a EP, and that was a really good EP. But I think that in this video was like a close of the relationship from Rosalía, Raúl Alejandro, and Pharrell, like putting that vibe of, transcendency. And also, I need to say that this movie reminds me a lot of Lost in Translation from the director Sofia Coppola. This movie is from 2003. Lost in Translation reminds me a state of mind, and could be the Raúl Alejandro state of mind when he broke up with Rosalía at that time and all the things that happened. And in the second scene where appears Raúl sit on the edge of a sofa with his right hand resting on his right leg, which rests off the back of the sofa, and his face is looking towards the city. I think it's an apology for Coppola's movie when Charlotte, played by Scarlett Johansson, sit down on repeated occasions to complete her existence, to complete her relationship with the world, and also to complete that stranger but universe, putting a person meeting to another person. And I need to say that video and that collab makes a highlight closing that part of Raúl and Rosalía chapter. Pharrell in this occasion, as I said, is like a professor, like a teacher for Raúl Alejandro and C. Lee. And that was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful video. We can see also the move of the camera so similar to the other videos, and the granite are so there. And yeah, you need to say Lost in Translation, and you need to understand too these similitudes. And for closing this episode, we don't need to forget the part of the video where Pharrell's make his direction part, his art direction, and he saw the opportunity to put LV, Louis Vuitton, in detail and big details. I mean, in the blue back silly, the walls with lights, and I mean that was also like we need to back to this movie Lost in Translation. That movie passed on Tokyo, and that video was like a lot of that image and screams with brands and with everything that was a apology also from the brand, and also that was a similar thing between Rosalia also. Rosalia, one of the videos were recorded in Tokyo. They both has a connection with that culture, with that city. So yeah, well, for closing this pop star episode, from a really good person, artist, designer, singer, producer, writer, entrepreneur, and this multifaceted person, Pharrell Williams from Virginia. And I need to say that I am a fan. I saw him as a professor of life, as a professor for design, for writing, for produce. He's an incredible person. I can feel him on my heart beating, and I'm just like the t-shirt in Dream Champs. Pharrell, if you're in some moment listening this, remember that t-shirt on Dream Champs. Just speaking thoughts. And this episode was so special, like the first one. And remember if you listen to me, and remember these beautiful words: faith is about what you feel. Enjoy every moment of this journey. This was Molly Tamara, and this podcast and this episode number 2 from Talk on Talk. Sending hugs and take care of you.